what we're going to show you now is how to stake your indeterminate tomato. So indeterminate is the Grossi-Lis or Gross-Lis variety that you're growing. And if you've read the handout from Cornell University that I recommended, it is the best guide to tomato pruning and staking that I've ever read. So read that. It explains to you why we bother. And the reason we do this with these tomatoes is because they branch so much that if we just let them grow completely crazy, they would eventually just sprawl all over the garden bed. They'd get disease because they touch the ground. You'd have mass flowering, that's true, but then you would have so many small tomatoes that wouldn't ripen until very late in the season that it would defeat the purpose of producing big, round, delicious tomatoes. They're not always delicious, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so now Georgie, who's filming today, one of the gardeners here at Burnley, is going to practice social distancing and zoom in on me or something, I'm not sure. But what I want to show you quickly first is reinforcing what these so-called laterals are. Remember, but botanically, laterals is auxiliary shoots. So I'm going to bend down and okay, so what we're dealing with here is using popular, everyday horticultural language, and then there's the botanical terminology as well. So remembering, just to repeat that, a lateral is an auxiliary shoot or an auxiliary stem or a bud if it's tidy. So now this is really important, and I don't know whose plot this is, and I shouldn't say it publicly anyway, I guess. But remembering what's so confusing about tomato pruning is that everyone thinks that this thing that I'm holding here is a branch. It's not, it's a leaf. But with tomatoes, they're compound leaves, meaning that the leaf consists of lots of little leaflets. So my grandmother, for example, who was a reasonably good gardener, but an excellent chef, or cook I should say, she could never get her head around this. So it does confuse, otherwise perfectly competent people. So this is a leaf. At the junction of the leaf and the main stem, the axil, the leaf axil, that's where this auxiliary shoot is. So I don't know if you can zoom in on that, Georgie. Yes, totally under control. So all you need to do is pull that off. Now, they're usually really firm, and so you can use your fingers. But if occasionally you get one that's a bit stiff, you can just use clean scissors or secateurs. But honestly, most of the time, you just break them off. And then here's another one here. Now, because we're planting these so late in the season, we're going to prune all the laterals off, meaning we're going to have one single stem growing right up the stake. So again, if you read the Cornell handout, it will explain that is going to maximize the amount of sunlight on fewer leaves, so lots of photosynthesis, producing sugar as the handout says. It's going to take the plant off the ground so it's more hygienic, and it's going to save a heap of space. So now one thing is you do get a lot of the shoots coming off from the base quite often, and they're sometimes not just auxiliary shoots, they're actual genuine suckers, meaning they're coming off the crown or the bottom end of the plant. So that's these here, suckers, and like this one, these often have roots on them too, because tomatoes, as we saw in our cutting just produce roots really easily on cuttings. So yeah, you just use them as mulch too, by the way, if they're clean and healthy. And there's another one. So one of the videos I showed you pointed out, be very careful if you get overexcited and start pruning close to the top, you might accidentally pull off flower buds. So there's flower buds there. Someone down, here's one here on this, just switching over to the determinate tomato. There's some actually fruit forming already, which is exciting. Okay, so that's pruned, ready to be tied up. So we might pause briefly and show you that in the next video.